Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my February reading wrap-up, and February was a really good month in every aspect if you ask me, but it was even much better in terms of reading because I managed to read a total of 16 books, of which 7 are physical books, 1 is an ebook, and the rest 8 are audiobooks. And I should say that most of the books that I read this month are really good, and without any further ado, let's just get into the books. Starting with the physical books, the first physical book which I finished in February is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Now, I have already put out a review for this specifically in the channel. You can check it out if you're interested. I'll link it down in the description. Also, this book is very much suitable for beginners. It's an urban fantasy focusing on this main character named Simon Snow. He's the chosen one in this world, and everyone in the world, including him, knows that he's the chosen one. The one thing that's so different about this story is that he's not the perfect person at all. He's the worst chosen one ever. That's the tagline for the story, or the pitch for the story if you ask me. And it was so much fun the entire time reading this book because it feels like a book that's written for beginners itself. And if you're a person who's trying to get into fantasy books specifically, I'd say that this is a great starting point because there's not that much of fantasy put into it. It's just like a contemporary story set in our world, but with a magical aspect put into it. It is so much fun. And one different aspect about this fantasy is that most of the fantasy books that I've read are set up in America, but this one is situated in the UK. Also, the romance in this one is so different. Okay, it doesn't feel artificial in any way. It is so much fun and engaging the entire time, and I rated this one 5 stars. The next book which I finished is finally a classic, and I'm talking about The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've been trying to read classics since 2020 beginning, and I've not been able to read that many classics at all. So I included 6 classics to be read in 2021. Of those 6, this is one of the books, and I finally managed reading it. I read this once in 2020 itself, but I was not at all able to understand most of the stuff that was going on because the language was difficult for me, because I'm very much used to reading modern style of books, but the writing style in this one was so old and so authentic if you ask me, but it was really rich in every aspect. It deals with the story of a man, a millionaire actually, named J. Gatsby, and we get the story narrated from the point of view of a third person named Nick Carraway, who is the neighbor of J. Gatsby. This story is something usual, but the way in which it is presented to us, it is so rich and one of a kind if you ask me. That's one of the reasons I think why this is a classic. Also, I should say that to be honest, I was not able to understand like 30% of the prose in this one. So what I did was, I'll read a chapter, and if I'm confident that I got the right things out of the chapter in a proper way, I'll just continue on with the story. If I had some doubts, what I did was I paused at the chapter, I went online and searched for chapter-wise summaries and read that and cross-referenced to check whether I have understood the story right or not. I should say that 70% of the book was easy for me, but the rest 30% was a bit difficult because of the language. Yet I enjoyed this a lot and rated this one 4 stars. Next we have Godsgrave by J. Kristoff. This is the second book in the Nevernight Chronicle trilogy. I read the first book, Nevernight, in January, and I enjoyed it a lot. And in this one, the story as well as the characters, the world, everything improved in such a vast way that I think this is the most enjoyable book that I read in February because of many aspects. This is my kind of story if you ask me. I like reading this kind of dark, gory, violent stories a lot. Okay, I don't know why, but I do like dark stories rather than happy and comfy stories always, and this one was so much of my jam if you ask me the entire time. And if you're a person who likes reading nice dark stories, then this trilogy is a must read for you, and I'm sure that you will like it a lot. But just keep in mind that it has a lot of explicit content also, which is just spewed throughout the series. It is necessary in order to flesh out the world as the way it is for the series. But I should say that you should consider that before getting into the books, because if it annoys you or bothers you a bit, there is some amount of that content in this series throughout. And I should say that if you're a person who likes reading grimdark stories, this will definitely be a very much favorite read for you as an entire series. And I'm very much pumped to read the final book in the series, which is Dark Thorne, and I'm going to read it this month in March. I rated this one 5 stars. The next one which I completed is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. This is the first book in the his Dark Materials trilogy, and I've been holding on for the series a lot, and I finally decided to start reading it in February. And I should say that this one was very much enjoyable. I thought that I might not enjoy the first book that much because I watched the first season of his Dark Materials, the show on HBO, but I should say this one was very much better. The series was so close to the books. I just think that they've changed 1 or 2 things as a whole throughout all the episodes in the first season itself, but it was very true to the books. So I'm not going to watch the further seasons until I finish books 2 and 3 in the series. It is kind of a sci-fi as well as fantasy put together and very much fun to read. It is typical for all age ranges if you ask me. It doesn't have anything that's hard to read. It's advisable for beginners also. A quick read, easy read, and really complex magic also, which is easier to comprehend and read as a reader. So I'd recommend this to anyone. I rated this one also 5 stars. Next we have not such a popular book, and it is A Family Christmas by Katie Flynn. This is one of those books which I received in my 999 rupees mystery book box from 99 Books card. You can check out my unboxing if you're interested. There are totally 15 books in that one, and 12 of the books are those which I didn't own. They were all in really good condition, so I decided to pick one up and read it in February. So I chose this one. And I should say that books like this one are not that much famous among people, mainly due to 2 reasons. One is that the marketing is not done properly for such books as this one, and this cover design. Okay, I'm sure that any reader who loves collecting and having books with them will not like this kind of photographs, just people on covers. And I hated that thing alone about this book. Other than that, it is a really cozy book to read. It's not specifically a Christmas book just because of the title. It deals with the story of 2 siblings named Mo and Jimmy, and they have this abusive guardian for them. They are saved by another person and they reach the other half of their family. That's the entire story of this one. It is really cozy. I'll not say that it's fun to read. It's historical as well as literary fiction put together, and it was really cozy the entire time, and it's very much predictable. Okay, you can just predict what's going to happen in the next couple of chapters because it is such an usual story, but it was really very comfy to read. So if you're a beginner, you can try this one also. The last 2 physical books in the Wrapup are non-fiction books, of which the first is Deep Work by Newport. I took a lot of time to read this one because it has a great many number of concepts which we have to read and understand, and I should say that each and every chapter in this book was so different from the preceding ones, though it just concentrates on a single thing called deep work and what it is and how we have to do it. There are multiple other things which we can learn from this one also, and I've tried to incorporate certain things that the author has said while I was working, and I should say that they are working wonders. Okay, they are saving me a lot of time, they are helping me focus better, and they are giving me better ideas to make videos and many other such things. And I should say that if you're a person who is into reading self-help books and self-development books, this is a must read because I'm sure that you will be able to get a lot out of this one. I took over 2 weeks to read this book. It's not even 300 pages long, but it is so well written and very digestible for any kind of reader out there. It is also suitable for beginners. I'll not say tell you to start with this one because when it comes to self-help as a beginner or non-fiction books as a beginner, you should start with shorter books. This is not typically a short one, but you can definitely read it after you have read like 2 or 3 self-help books or non-fiction books in general, and then come to this one because it is very much useful in every way, and I rated this one 4 stars. Next we have Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and boy oh boy, this was such a tough book for me to read because of the language. Okay, it is very repetitive, but I can easily see why it is so famous because everything that is said in this one is mostly legit. Okay, I'm sure that if we practice all those things, all the things that the author promises to happen for us can happen very easily with consistent and hard effort, and it is such a good book. Definitely not for beginners. Okay, so if you're a beginner, don't even think of reading this one because it will be difficult for you. If you want to further your reading experience as well as how to say challenge yourself as a reader, then I'd recommend you to read this one. And if you also want to know some aspects of making money in a subconscious level, then you can try this one. But the piece of advice that I'll give you is this is definitely not an easy book for reading. Also, if you are a person who annotates books while reading, please do have a highlighter while reading this one because there are multiple points that the author says that you can just highlight then and there and try, because they are very practical in many ways if you ask me. And though it's a tough book, it's a really good read and it's a must read for anyone who is into self-help and developing oneself financially as well as trying to make oneself rich in all the other spheres of life also, and I rated this one 4 stars. Moving on to the audiobooks, the first audiobook which I finished is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was not such a great read if you ask me. I just picked this up because of February having Valentine's Day in it, and it was kind of fun but not that great if you ask me. If you're into reading like steamy romance novels, then you might enjoy this one because it has a lot of that. Okay, that's not so explicit content, but just a lot of description and how people behave. Okay, it's entirely from the female's point of view, so we don't get any other points of view or voices inside the novel. It's just that of the one of the 2 main characters named Lucy, and the male lead is called Josh. Okay, they work in the same office and they are both attracted to each other. mutually, but they hate each other as well. It's a hate to love kind of romance, so if you're into that, you might enjoy this one. But I should say that it's not any kind of a different love story. It's just a usual love story that's put in a, how to say, office backdrop, and it is fun to read but not that great in any sense, so I rated this one 3 stars. The next one which I finished is Paris for One by Jojo Moyes. Now this is also another romantic book, but it's a novella. It's just under 200 pages and it just ran for like 2 hours, and I should say that it was such a fun, comfy, romantic book to read. It deals with the story of a woman who is going to Paris, France with her boyfriend for a weekend, and what happens is her boyfriend is not going with her due to multiple reasons. She also has ditched a plan with her friends and has decided to go on with her boyfriend, which doesn't end up happening in Paris, and so she decides to spend the night in the hotel room all alone and then take the next flight or train and return back to her hometown. But things don't go that way, but it is so fun and so cute romance to read. I'm sure that if you are into reading like nice fluffy romances, you will like this one because I enjoyed it a lot and I rated this one 4 stars. The next one which I finished is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the first book in a 6-book long series, which is a dystopian series, and I should say I was not a big fan of this one because it just seemed like a very usual story that I've read multiple times. The only different thing which I saw in this one was the power of the main character, who's Juliet, and it was not at all fun, guys. Okay, I will not say that this book was fun or unpredictable in any way because most of the things that happened in the book were so predictable. I am definitely not sure if I'll be continuing with this one or not because it doesn't seem like that much worth the time for me. So I rated this one 3 stars and I am not sure if I'll continue with the series or not. The next book which I finished is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I should say this one was so cute and so entertaining the whole time. It is a young adult contemporary romance. Okay, it deals with the story of this girl named Lara Jean. What happens is accidentally a box of the love letters that she has written to the boys she's loved in the past goes out, and all of them receive the letters and they come towards her and have a chat with her. It is so much fun. This is one of those kind of contemporary stories which I like, and all the elements that I like in a contemporary story are present in this one. It has a beautiful family dynamic. Okay, it's just so perfect. It just seems like the perfect family. It's just a comfy little family that is shown as it is in the books, and it was so cute. It also has a great sibling dynamic which I just loved, and a very cute and fluffy romance. Okay, I'm not a person who's into reading romance that much, and I don't like mushy romances as well, but this one was so cute. Also, the main character Lara Jean, she was so relatable. Okay, for a protagonist to be relatable, they need not be of a specific gender, for me at least. And I should say that everyone who reads this book can relate with her in some way or the other because she's such a really normal person that you can just have as a neighbor, have as a friend, because it was so fun to read. And I should say that all the 3 books in this series have Netflix adaptations, and I'm sure that I'm going to watch them after finishing all the 3 books, and I rated this one 4 stars. The next one which I finished is A Study in Emerald by Neil Gaiman. I just picked this up because Neil Gaiman has written it and he has narrated it himself. It's not at all long, okay, it's just a 1 hour long audiobook, and it is kind of a retelling, having Sherlock and Watson as different characters, and it's just portrayed in that way. The narration of Neil Gaiman itself elevates the book to a very great level, and it was such a comfortable book to read. Okay, it was so much fun. The way in which Neil Gaiman writes and narrates itself is just out of the world for me, and I enjoyed it the whole time. I rated this one also 4 stars. The next 3 audiobooks are non-fiction books, of which the first one is How Not to Die by Dr. Michale Greger. This is a non-fiction book about having the benefits of completely having a plant-based diet and how it can protect us from various diseases that we acquire from other animal species, as well as from some of the things that we do in a daily basis without our knowledge, which causes multiple hazards for our health and the generations that are to come after us. It was such an informative book in many levels, if you ask me, and I'm sure that everyone needs to read this one and try to incorporate at least some little things that the author is saying in that one. He being from the field of medicine itself provides like a great advantage for the book, and he just goes into depth and explains everything in the proper way. Also, I should say that if you're a person who gets a bit intimidated, or if medical descriptions frustrate you a bit, then this might not be an easy book for you to read. It's also a very long audiobook and a huge book in page count as well, so it will take some time and effort to read this one because it has a lot to take in, and I'm sure that it will be worth the time that you spend reading it, and I rated this one 5 stars. The next one is also by the same author, and it is How to Survive a Pandemic, also by Dr. Michale Greger. This is about the various things that we can do while we are in a pandemic or while we are about to face a pandemic. And he says he doesn't just discuss about the current pandemic that we are having and experiencing right now, but also some of the pandemics which we had in the past decades and centuries, and he gives brief descriptions of each and every one of those pandemics and how they affected us as a human race itself, and how we can protect and try to make our way through the further pandemics which we might have in the decades to come. And he says that there are multiple chances for the next pandemic to come in just a few more years, and what we can do in order to protect ourselves as well as the people who are surrounding us without harming other species, and making our way through it. It was such an informative book, also so long. The author has written it in April 2020, okay, that is during the peak time of the COVID pandemic that we are facing right now. And I should say that it is very appreciable in various levels, and the book's length is almost 1000 pages, okay. It's also a huge book, but I'm sure that it is very much informative and a must read for every human in the world. The last audiobook which I finished is Side Hustle by Guillebeau. This is a book based on some instructions that you have to follow for the next 21 days in order to start a side hustle and make an income out of it. The idea seems very much promising in many ways, but I should say that it's not that practical for everyone. The author starts by saying that in the book itself that you just have to allocate 1 hour for the next 27 days in order to start a side hustle and make money out of it. But I can say that it's not that much practical for everyone out there, but it might be possible for some people due to some side reasons as well. So this is a kind of a good read, but I'm not sure that it is a must read for everyone who wants to start a side hustle and make a lot of more money from just their day job alone. But it's a good read, so I rated this one also 3 stars. Lastly, the one ebook which I read is a short story, and it is The Prince and the Troll by Rowell. Now this is in Amazon Kindle original, so it's available only in Kindle and not anywhere else. It's not even there in print. It's just 25 to 30 pages long. It deals with the story of this boy Adam and this troll who lives under a bridge, okay. She is a troll and he is a boy, and it's kind of a romantic story between them, but not that much fleshed out. It is good to read, okay. It has that Rainbow Rowell flavor which I saw in Carry On, but it was not that great a story, and it was just a, how to say, bridge read between many big books for me. So I did enjoy it, but it was not that great, so I rated this one also 3 stars. Okay guys, that's all for today, and if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.